Is the stream back up? I really hope it is, because it's getting really annoying that it keeps dropping out on me like this.
It's been so long, I almost didn't recognize you, Edgar.
Well, you and your brother haven't changed a bit.
Oh, yeah, all this catching up is nice and all, but let's get down to business. We need to talk about Kyria. Is he...
Hold on, we have guests.
It's nice to see you again, Master.
Emily? Is that you? Oh, it's been years. I've heard you've become quite the famous perfume.
Oh, well, it's all thanks...
Hardly. I taught you the basics. Hearing you call me Master, well, I'm not. I've taught many students here in Sumeru over the years, but I've yet to see one turn out quite as accomplished as you. You're the only one who can take credit for that success. And who are these two? I don't recall you mentioning them in your letter.
Ah, they're my new friends, the Traveler and Paimon.
Emily's friends. Well then, the pleasure is all mine.
And these two gentlemen? Are they friends of yours, Master?
Of course. We're perfume merchants from Fontaine. I'm Oud, and this here is my younger brother, Blaze. Edgar and the two of us are old friends.
yes.
Merchant brother...
You must be here to look for the August flower that...
Huh?
Well, what respectable perfume merchant hasn't heard of a goose? Anyone in the business would be interested.
I'm guessing you're here for the same reason, Emily. We were just about to get into it, so you three might as well join in. I commissioned a few eremites to do some scouting for me. They searched all over Sumer. That being said, there are people in Port Ormos who claim to have smelled a unique fragrance on the streets. Definitely, some of them were merchants who lived in Fontaine 20 years ago. According to them, the fragrance a one-of-a-kind.
Maybe someone around here just happens to have a bottle of August.
No, I don't think so. I doubt that's the case. Even if someone had a bottle that was never opened, the fragrance of the perfume would have changed over time. Very few perfumes can go decades without... Auguste is even more prone to that kind of shift. Only a few bottles still exist in Fontaine, and their scent would have completely degraded. Although, could there be a flower out there with a similar fragrance?
Impossible. If a goose were that easy to replicate, it would never have sold for such a high price all those years ago. The goose flower...
Technically speaking, the scent wouldn't be...
Well, let's table that question for now. Edgar, did any of those people mention who were the...
No. By the time they realized they had smelled something, the scent was already gone. If I hadn't asked about it, they probably wouldn't have given the experience. Compared to things we see and hear, smells can be much easier to overlook.
It almost sounds like someone wearing the Auguste fragrance passed them on the street.
Wait, are you saying...
Just thinking out loud.
We don't have much to go off of right now, but we can't rule out that possibility. I'll send some more people to investigate. You all traveled so far to be...
Ooh, you've got the keys to the rooms? Do we...
My apologies. All the rooms in the hotel are accounted for, I'm afraid. I managed to tidy up one of the rooms for these two at the last minute. But by the time Emily wrote to me, there was no more space.
Oh, and we just showed up out of the blue. Guess...
I should have been more considerate. Here I am with an entire hotel at my disposal and no place to offer...
Don't worry, Master. I can sleep on the boat tonight. Or I could even camp in the wild. It would give me the opportunity to collect some plant specimens while I'm here in Sumeru. Even better. Although, would it be possible for me to leave some of my luggage here? It would be rather cumbersome to take it camping.
Well,
Of course, no trouble at all. My brother and I will keep an eye on them for you.
all right then. I'll prepare some refreshments and join you in a bit. I'm sorry.
It's all right, Master.
I'll be sure to make it up to you.
the smell of flowers is so strong. Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers. Looks like this exhibition is gonna be
No, that's a florist thing. We work closely with the essential oils of various plants. But to maintain a sharp sense of smell, most perfumers prefer to keep their homes free of strong...
Oh, guess there's just too much to store for the exhibition then.
Oh, this room seems to be a connected suite, and my brother will be staying on the other side of the suite. Blaze, while you're out, why don't you bring up... Ahem.
Yes.
All right, then. Where can we find your luggage, mademoiselle? Blaze...
It's still at the port. In addition to some daily necessities, there's also a case of amber wine that I brought back from Fontaine. Could I trouble...
Ah, how generous. I should thank you on my brother's behalf. You've stumbled upon his weakness. He's aloof about most things, but alcohol...
Is that so? Mr. Ood, Mr. Blaze.
Hey, what are you doing?
That's Master's voice.
Edgar!
Master!
Hey, Edgar! Are...
Kid,
Hey, Edgar? Edgar!
No, don't shake him. He's injured. Just leave him to me. You two can... Oh, thank you.
That strange smell around here. Is it coming from this bottle? Oh, really? Do you think who...
Take it easy.
I checked. Oh, but that's impossible. It's not like that kid can just grow some wing. Oh, the culprit, I mean. It's not like the culprit.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we looked up...
The most important thing we can do now is focus our efforts on treating...
So, how's he doing?
When I administered emergency treatment, I discovered a residue in his nose and mouth. Master was most likely forced to ingest a certain liquid. He's still unconscious and inducing vomiting. Ah, yes. The scent is the same, but the chemical composition is still unclear. We'll have to do further tests, but first, I do believe Mr. Sylvain, Mr. Lucien.
Wait, you...
Hey, were you talking to us, mademoiselle?
Before arriving in Sumeru, I asked a friend from the Special Patrol to look into the creators of Auguste. There were 4 people in total. The perfumer, Edgar, the one thrust into the limelight, and a researcher from Sumeru responsible for cultivating the Auguste flower, and 2 merchant brothers responsible for promoting the product. The 2 brothers capitalized on the mythos surrounding Auguste. Their actions lured in numerous speculators and profiteers, inflating the price of Auguste even further. In the end, they were sent to the Fortress of Meripede for falsifying their accounts and destabilizing the market. If you do the math, they should be out of prison.
And what does that have to do with us? There are countless merchant families in Fontaine. You gonna...
Every time your brother called you Blaze, it took you several seconds to respond. But when I called you Lucien just now, the name registered...
Ah, Miss Emily. Out of respect for your position as a famous perfumer in Fontaine, I'm inclined to believe you have a bright future ahead of you. You wouldn't want to develop a reputation as someone who throws around false accusations.
You claim to be regular perfume merchants, and yet, when I brought up amber wine...
What?
Amber wine is a perfume I created several years ago. It wasn't particularly renowned, but I'm certain any respectable perfume merchant in Fontaine, unless, until recently, they were living somewhere completely cut off from the perfume world. Somewhere like The
Emily, you little...
Don't misunderstand, Mr. Sylvain. I don't bring this up to criticize you, no matter what happened all those years ago. But Master's life is in danger. We need to learn whatever we... If Master's attack had something to do with Auguste, I would imagine the two of you might... So I'd like to trouble you for some information, if I may.
Fine. As you...
Sylvain!
Lucian, if this will help us find Kyria, then it will be all worth it. Besides, we've already told most of the stuff to the Maison Orderly anyway. You were right, Miss Emily. There were 4 of us at the beginning. Myself, Lucian, Edgar, and a researcher from Sumeru in charge of flower. Sometime down the road, the Marechaussee Phantom came knocking, saddled us with a list of accusations, and started looking into our books. They did their meddling, and my brother Edgar and I were forced to serve time in the fortress as a result.
Sounds like he's still upset about that. Wait, then how did Edgar and...
Master was convicted as an accomplice, so he only had to serve a few years. He decided to move to Sumeru so that he could put those events behind him. Still, Master was depressed for a long time after that. He stopped making new perfumes and focused on introducing students to the craft instead. That's how I met him. My parents had a real... But we can talk about that some other time. I want to hear more about this researcher, Vijava.
Like us, Vijava was also staring down an investigation from the Marsh. But before the Phantom showed up at her door, she set all the flower beds on fire, along with much of the mora we managed to earn. All the Auguste flowers, everything we worked to create.
But destroying all that evidence...
It didn't matter at that point, because she died...
What?
Sounds like you did an investigation of your own. Why even ask us if you knew all of this already?
The name wasn't mentioned in any of the files I reviewed either. But you...
Kyria was Vijava's younger brother. He was just a clueless kid back then. Somewhere in his teens, I think. He helped his sister with her work sometimes, but that was pretty much it. He didn't have it. Vijava kept him close most of the time. The 3 of us were probably the only one. After our operation was compromised, he disappeared. There were no signs of him, and...
So, you think Kyria took something with him back then? Something that allowed him to
Vijava doted on the kid like you wouldn't believe. She even told us to give her cut to her brother if anything happened to her. If she left something behind before she died, believe me.
And judging by the liquid in that bottle, the Auguste flower wasn't the only thing he reproduced. He managed to replicate the perfume itself.
So the liquid Edgar was forced to ingest really was Auguste. Wait, does that mean
Poison? No, no. Of course not. No perfume is meant to be ingested. Even small amounts can be dangerous, let alone ingesting a whole... If Auguste could be considered a poison, we wouldn't have even sold half a bottle back then. Edgar fell unconscious because Kyria forced him to drink. He probably thought we had something to do with his sister's death. But to tell you the truth, we're not looking for Kyria because we have it out for him. We just wanted to see how he was doing. And if possible, we only went to prison for a bit of fraud and market manipulation. As long as we keep things honest this time around, bringing the product back to market would almost be like honor.
So that's why you never mentioned Kyria during your interrogation?
Yes, exactly.
Anyway, that's all we know. If you're looking for information on what's in Auguste, or what to do if you ingest it, there are only...
Well, at least we're able to say for certain that the substance Edgar ingested was in fact Auguste. That gives us a direction for further testing.
Well, glad to hear it. Lucian, let's head back to the room and rest a bit. With everything that...
Yes.
Huh, you think so too? That does seem to be the case, but based on Sylvain's tone of voice just now, I suspect for...
The way you exposed them like that? Just based on a hunch? Oh, right! Earlier you said you were only sort of a doctor, and that your patient...
Oh yes, that's because most of the patients I encounter are...
So you're a...
Close. I'm actually a forensic cleaner. Once the forensic team and the Marechaussee Phantom are done collecting evidence from the scene, I'm in charge of clearing away the final traces my patients leave on the world. In fact, with just a small alteration to the formula, the same tincture used as the base of perfume can also be... Basically, there are two sides to forensics. Those who collect evidence to expose the truth, and those who clean up the smells, bloodstains, and other substances left behind at the scene. I've learned a lot in my line of work, and I've witnessed a lot of death. But this time, we may still save the patient. Actually, Traveler, could I trouble you to report back to Tainari? I'll stay here and continue...
So, this story is so far going in a different direction than I thought it would.
Whoa, why the rush? Did something happen?
What? Edgar was attacked. He's the most famous perfumer.
Sheriff, have you received any reports of a
No, but we've got eyes all over the area. I'll start gathering my forces.
What about you, Tainari?
I'm sure the sheriff... Then she was far too modest. She may not be a doctor by trade, but she has a deeper understanding of human anatomy. Not to mention the fact that Mr. Edgar's condition is related to perfume. As for me, I'll head to the academia.
Oh, that's right!
From Emily's letter, certainly, but that was the first... I didn't have time to look into it earlier, but now it seems like Vijava's past could be critical to getting to the bottom of what I have friends in Sumeru City that can help me investigate. With any luck, we'll have new... I'll leave you and Emily to watch over things here.
Take it easy.
So, we now have a Fontaine character's story quest in Sumeru. She's a Dendro polearm. I've done her trial before.
Well, it's been a day. Wonder if
But-
Tainari's discovered anything. But...
I get Sumeru's big, but I don't understand why we don't have this happening here. Or at least somewhere over here in the air at like a port, whatever, Beta Harbor, since it's Fontaine and Sumeru. I get Port Ormos is like the big trade hub, but I don't know, something like over here seems like it would make more sense since they added this without really putting much here. I don't know, just my thoughts rambling on. Time to teleport back up here, because I don't like climbing.
Emily!
No longer in critical condition, thankfully. He's still... My chemical analysis of a goose also went smoothly, although it's certainly I was able to identify the components that give the substance its fragrance, but I also noticed an abnormal
Elemental energy?
hard to say. It was such a minute amount, proportionally speaking, like mixing a single drop of perfume into the ocean. I had to use one of the newest tests developed in recent years to even detect the traces present in this. Unless you were abnormally sensitive to elemental energy, I doubt it would have any effect, even if you use the product every day for 10. As for whether Master's condition was caused by the elemental energy present in the sample or some other component of the perfume...
Oh, that reminds Paimon. Did Tighnari come and find you? Maybe...
I received a message from him last night, but I haven't heard anything since. The message said he was looking into some information at the
Oh, Paimon thought he might have stopped by to see... excuse me? Is Miss Emily here?
Oh, it's Kale.
Oh, perfect! Familiar faces! Travel...
Kale? Ah, of course. Tighnari's apprentice. He's mentioned you many times. And please, no need for formalities.
Oh, did Tighnari send you here, Colin? Yep. Master and the others went through decades worth of records last night, and still haven't had a chance to rest. I'm fast on my feet, so it only made sense for me to come and give you an update. Anyway, based on what they've reviewed so far, they believe there's no indication that a researcher by the name of Vijava ever passed through the academia.
So, by the way, for people who don't know Genshin very well, Kale here is the Sumeru version of Amber. Now, that'll make sense to you if you've at least played the, starting bit of Genshin. If you haven't played Genshin at all, Amber is a outrider from Mondstadt. She's one of the first characters that you meet. Yeah. I highly recommend you play Genshin, if you have not played yet.
Master considered that possibility as well, but the name wasn't... How is that possible?
It's starting to seem very likely. If we want to figure out her true identity, I'm afraid another conversation with...
Hey! Lucian!
It's Sylvain! Wait, you don't think Kirio came back, dude?
That seems impossible. If someone came in or out of the hotel just now, we would have... It's locked?
Lucian! Lucian! Come on! Emily! Emily! My brother!
I'm sorry, Mr. Sylvain.
No, that's not... That's...
Oh, damn.
Traveler, Kale, Mr. Sylvain has gone through a huge shock. He needs some space to calm down. Could one of you take him next door? It's...
Of course. Leave it to...
Thank you both. Mr. Sylvain? We'll take things from here. Just focus on getting some rest. Here, this way.
Poor guy. It's like he may have made some bad decisions and...
Good person or bad, the death of a loved one is equally painful. All the moments he shared with his brother...
If Kiria really was behind this, then...
Lucian can no longer speak. But the trace... Traveler, I've got things covered here at the scene. I'll leave...
Who would have thought? Yesterday's case is still up in the air. Miss Emily, I heard you're an experienced forensic doctor. Have you been...
Oh, I'm not actually a forensic doctor. I just happen to have some... I did take a look, though. Judging by the temperature and rigidity of the body, it appears the time of death was sometime last night. I'd have to do a more thorough investigation to find...
Then, would you mind helping us investigate? Before he left, Tainari said we could trust your judgment if something like...
Of course, I appreciate your trust. Many of the traces left behind at the scene will fade with time, so
We'll help too. We don't know much about dead bodies, but you can leave. And the windows are shut tight too. Well, looks.
So, did you find anything?
Paimon can show you. Here, it'd be something like this.
But entering through the room next door without alerting Sylvain... Wait, you don't think...
No, his reaction to the loss of his brother seemed genuine.
Then, what could have happened last night? I know Sylvain...
I agree. Also, I've made some new discoveries, so we might...
I hope y'all are enjoying this content so far. I know I'm being quiet, but
Mr.
I do that so
Sylvain,
you can hear the
I need you to
audio.
tell me everything you and your brother did since yesterday afternoon. Did you see or hear anything strange?
After Kyria attacked Edgar, my brother and I were incredibly careful. We returned to our rooms and decided to lock all the doors leading to the hallway. The only door we kept unlocked was the one connecting our rooms. That way, if we heard any... But I didn't hear any sort of commotion last night. Not a single noise. I woke up this morning, opened the door.
So, no movement from the room next door. No forced entry via Sylvain's room. No signs of a struggle at the scene. And no external injury on Lucien's body.
I did notice a few things about the body. Lucien's pupils were dilated, and his skin was flat. There weren't any traces of liquid in his mouth or nose, so it's unlikely he was forced to ingest anything. The more plausible explanation is that he inhaled a substance without knowing it. And
A goose? No, that's not possible. Inhaling a goose won't kill you. And anyway, it would have been for just one night. No. Emily, you ran your tests, didn't you?
No, I didn't find any
See?
That may be true for most people.
Master!
Edgar? You're...
Thanks to Emily. Sylvain, no matter how hard you may try...
Edgar!
Even if we could keep it a secret for another 10 or 20 years... No, he would never give up. That's Vijava's real... Yelena wasn't a scholar from Sumeru. She was an exiled Fatus from
Oh, Fatus?
The Fatui. Well, that...
Ah, so you've already detected it. Well, the August flower was created with the mutative and distorting power.
The Fatui, delusions... I never would have thought a goose...
Born of a delusion, August contained distorted elemental energy. A prolonged exposure over many years...
That's enough, Edgar. At first, Yelena wanted to keep refining the perfume and the flower. But no one knew how long the perfume mania... It didn't have any effect on ordinary people anyway. Every day we postpone going to market.
So you decided poisoning people was...
Listen, it's not like it was good for business. But all that talk about a goose being harmful over time, Yelena was just speculating. The impact was practically negligible. Unless you were particularly sensitive to elemental energy or had an entire bottle shoved down your throat like Edgar.
It may be true there are no records of a goose poison, but even if no one was acutely poisoned, willfully bringing a product to market despite explicit knowledge of its harmful effects is still a serious crime. That explains why you were so intent on keeping Yelena and Kiria's involvement a secret all this time, despite readily confessing to all your financial crimes. The Fatui, delusions, a goose. If the Marachese Phantom discovered the connection between the three, there would have been enough evidence to send you to the Fortress of Meripede for life.
Ha! If I'd known coming to Sumeru would put a target on my back, I would have been more than happy to stay there. At least that way. All these years without any sign of Kiria, and he pops up out of nowhere the minute my brother and I get out of prison? It couldn't be any clearer who the kid, a goose, was harmless before. The fact that it's killing people all of a sudden...
So there's bad blood between you.
What about Yelena's death? Was that a cover-up too?
I'll admit, we thought about it at one point. We took care to disguise the product circulating on the market, and no one was questioning you. But if the Marachese Phantom decided to look into the flower beds, it would have been the end. Yelena's ties to the... Before we could even put our plan in motion, Yelena beat us to it. She
But if her goal was to destroy evidence, there would have... Yeah, she could have just burned the flower beds and...
I thought about it for a long time, but it wasn't until just everything she did. One of the reasons they defected from the Fatui was the deterioration of Yelena's body due to her excessive use of a delusion. She didn't want her brother to follow in her footsteps. After arriving in Fontaine, Yelena continued using the delusion to cultivate the Auguste flower, weakening her...
So she couldn't flee with her brother because she was...
If her true identity was exposed, she and her brother would face pressure from both... The Auguste flower and Yelena's own corroded body both bore the mark of a delusion. So, in the end, she burnt it all to ash.
So the wealth you earned from Auguste, it wasn't destroyed in the fire. Yelena gave it to her brother?
Most likely. Before Yelena died, she said if anything happened to her, she was going to leave everything to her brother. We just didn't realize she meant our cut as well.
So, for those who want to join in co-op, I request that you post a request in my stream chat, letting me know, that you are the one trying to join. I have no issue with letting people hop on the world, grabbing resources as they need, hanging out, all that. I just ask that you let me know first.
That's why
Because I will reject
and I were
it if I
searching for
don't know it.
Kiria, to take back Armora and the...
But why is Kiria out for revenge anyway? Doesn't he know about Yelena's decision to sacrifice herself?
I don't think he knew his sister was nearing death. Yelena always wore heavy makeup around him to conceal her deteriorating appearance. She kept herself busy with work to keep out of sight. That way her brother wouldn't notice how she could barely walk.
Then all we'll need to do is tell Kiria what really happened, and then he'll give up on his revenge. I'm not so sure. Even if he knew the truth, he'd still find someone to blame. He might think Yelena was forced into using a delusion to cultivate a goose, or something like that. It's hard to pull yourself out of that kind of hatred, especially when you've been living in that headspace for so many years.
Very true. Even if Yelena's death was her own choice, I wouldn't call myself innocent either.
Edgar, what are you talking about?
Think about it, Sylvain. If we hadn't been in such a hurry to capitalize on the perfume mania all those years ago, do you think Yelena would have elected to take those risks? If we hadn't been so blinded by greed, so insistent on increasing the scale of the flower cultivation, do you think Yelena's health would have deteriorated as fast as it did? If we hadn't invited the Marechaussee Phantom to our doorstep by breaking the law at every turn, Yelena could have survived.
She knew her limits. She knew her days were numbered. Maybe it was for her brother, but she was in it for the Mora just as much as us. We were just trying to earn a bit of Mora. And what, we deserve to die for that? Target me for being the mastermind, sure. But what about Lucien? He was just following my orders. Lucien's crime, was it really so extreme that he had to pay for it with his life?
The only person that can answer that question is a judge.
Fine. I've said my piece anyway. Drag me back to...
3 people from Fontaine, 1 from Snezhnaya, and a crime committed in Port Ormos. What a headache. Well, we can only wait until the Academia sends someone to deal with it. I'm guessing we'll have to contact Fontaine as well. In any case, we won't really know anything until tomorrow. With the exhibition, we don't even have space in Port Ormos to detain anyone. Such a headache.
The hotel could suffice. You could station a few officers to keep an eye on Sylvain and myself. Although with Sylvain's mental state and my physical one, I don't think you need to...
Mr. Edgar, are you saying...
If Sylvain is to stand trial, then I deserve the same fate. A crime is a crime, accomplice or not. I'd just like to take care of a few things before I go. As for Sylvain, I'm sure he also has some... Would you be willing to grant that request, Sheriff?
Well, all right. I'll talk to the Academia. No matter who you were in Fontaine or what crimes you committed, the man we grew to know in Sumeru proved himself to be a good person.
You have my thanks, Sheriff.
Happen tonight? Oh, you mean the possibility that...
Yeah! All we know is that he uses a goose to poison people. But we still have no idea how to... If he targets Sylvain or Edgar again...
That may be true. But what if we take advantage of this situation and lure him in on...
Master, no!
So, if Kyria learns we're being taken away tomorrow, his last chance to enact his... In other words, you want to use us as bait to capture him.
Capture? Not necessarily. I just want to talk. What? Are you afraid of him?
Afraid? This is my only chance to make him pay for what he did. I'm spending the rest of my life in prison anyway. I can't just sit back and let him ride off and... As for the danger, everyone else just needs to make preparation.
I'll admit, it could work. We just need to spread the word that... Then I'll station some of my men around the hotel. If we have your assistance as well.
I still have some reservations, but...
I'll also keep watch.
Although, I think Sylvain and myself should remain alone in our... If Kyria noticed another person in the room, he might decide to turn back. And besides, it's possible he's already transformed Auguste into a potent toxic gas.
You mean if he doesn't see a way to get his hands on the two of you, he might get so desperate that he'll just start using Auguste on everybody?
If that were to happen, everyone's standing guard. Even the innocent citizens and...
That's why everyone else needs to keep to the shadows.
You're still recovering. You need to rest.
This old bag of bones doesn't bounce back like it used to. I suppose I'll just have to...
All right, we can figure out a plan.
Oh. I want to see who this person is that's using delusion flowers. And I wonder if this is going to tie into the pt2 Harbinger that we're going to meet in that one. I forget the...
Mr. Edgar's been detained.
What?
I think it's Rheindotter? No.
He taught my child how to make perfume.
He hasn't been
Maybe
convicted
Rooster.
yet.
I forget who it is.
Everyone on the street. Let's head back to the hotel and take a break.
I remember seeing something about it. I don't remember the name, though.
Emily, Sheriff Xian wants to talk to you on the travel...
Thank you, Kale. But first, here. I prepared a kind of herbal tea that helps calm the spirit. What?
Oh, that's...
Oh, it's not good to be so tense. You seem very preoccupied with Kiria's revenge. If the...
Oh, Hey, Emily, Kale. Oh, are we interrupting? No, not at all. This will be easier to talk. I've just been thinking. If Kiria has the capacity to commit murder while remaining completely undetected, why? There was just a single door separating them. If his intention was to target both brothers, then there was barely anything standing in his way. When I accompanied Sylvain to his room after Lucien died, and saw how distraught he was, maybe Kiria did that on purpose. Maybe he wanted Sylvain to experience the pain of losing a loved one before he completed his... So did he attack Edgar as a warning then?
Based on what we've heard about Kiria...
Losing his sister all those years ago. Whenever I get to thinking like that, I just can't help but wonder. I'm sorry.
There's nothing in all my years of cleaning up crime scenes. Some of them even try to stop me, begging me not to erase the last remnants of their loved ones. But surround yourself with fragrance for too long, and your sense of smell will become dull. Allow yourself to be consumed by your... So while you hold on to that sense of empathy, do Sylvain and Lucien really deserve to die? How much did they truly know about the Fatui and the delusion? Did they answering those questions requires a lot of time. I've witnessed a lot of deaths in Fontaine. When someone dies, a certain amount of information can be inferred from the traces left behind at the scene. But generally speaking, death will just leave most questions unanswered, and the whole picture ever incomplete.
Once you're consumed by hatred, it will become next to impossible to think about things that way. For someone like Kiri...
You're right. The fact that we can approach these questions from this perspective isn't because we're more rational than them. It's because we're fortunate enough not to have suffered that kind of loss. But that also makes us perfectly positioned to stand on the outside and try to pull them back from the brink before... I understand Kiria's decision.
Now I just want to know who this Kiria person is.
Emily, Traveler. Huh? Edgar.
Oh, it's you two! Didn't you head back to your room to rest, Edgar? Is it really okay for you to be out and about like this?
Besides, I don't have much time left in Sumeru.
We could do that for you, Master.
No need. I would imagine Sheriff Xian...
the Night Watch! You mentioned...
That's right. I've stationed some of my men around the surrounding area, but we still don't have anyone. Exactly. After some discussion, we concluded that Sylvain has the highest risk of being attacked next. And Emily's expertise is sure to come in handy in a pinch. That's why I want you two stationed next to Sylvain's room. So, are you up for it?
Sounds perfectly reasonable.
Ooh. I don't think there's anybody more fitting than a Fatui Harbinger.
Huh. Not a peep. Has Kirya given up on his revenge?
Considering that this is happening in Sumeru, were they planning on having Dendro Aether and Emily, who is a Dendro Polearm? Or were they planning on having Hydro Aether and doing a Hyper Bloom with Emily if there's a combo between the two? Because this happens after Fontaine, so you have access to Fontaine. She is from Fontaine. Or full Dendro, since we are in the land of Dendro. Just where my brain is at.
Guess.
I know her preferred team is burning, though.
Still nothing unusual. Paimon took a peek into the room next door and Sylvain's already sleeping.
Perhaps Kirya's true motive was simply forcing... No, that can't be right. If all he wanted was for Sylvain to be convicted for it, there must be something we're missing.
Maybe we just need to calm down a little. How about some tea? That herb... You're right. Maybe we can look for a different distraction then, like looking... Oh, there's a glaze lily here. Paimon didn't notice it earlier.
Flowers, clay... Oh no! Sylvain's room! Quick!
Wait, what?
Hey, did you hear?
It was the older of the merchant brothers.
Yeah, I think his name was Sylvain.
First it was Mr. Edgar, then that merchant named...
Listen up, everyone. This is an act of...
It's been 3 days.
Do you think it could be the work of an... I mean, how do you get away with something like that with so many people?
Keep it moving, everyone. No...
You don't know that. Kirya all...
You were the only reason I managed to survive, Emily. I never did thank you for...
Even if I wasn't there, Tainari was...
Is that so? I have exception, but Kirya has nothing. Yelena is... It really makes...
If you really want an answer, I suppose you'll have to ask Kirya himself.
Well, Emily... But... So many flowers were transported here for the show. Some of them thousands of miles. Whether Kirya get... I know it's...
Of course, Master.
Really? Now
Sheriff Sham still has some questions for me, so...
Go ahead. Best not to keep him waiting. He can be quite impatient.
I'm sorry, Master.
Another all-nighter. Paimon sure hopes Emily's plan will go well. Emily still isn't back. I hope she didn't run into any trouble. Yeah, that's...
Traveler, I had my men start spreading the information you requested. The crowd is gone. After listening to Emily's plan, I started getting the materials together. To be honest, I'm still not...
The key clue was right in front of us the entire time! Let's go! We'll show you where the culprit... Wasn't this incense originally a...
The glazed lily, huh? I think I've heard of it before. It's a
Well, did you know it only blooms at night?
Emily, you're back!
Exactly at...
A flower that only blooms at night. Ah, like the...
Exactly. Although, the Palo lotus wouldn't be a good substitute in this scenario. When it's closed, the gaps between the petals, that's why Kyria chose the glaze lily as his mechanism. He would start by...
There's a sticky substance on the edge of the flower pot. If poured into the flower pot, if applied to the if poured into the flower, if you stick the petals together with slime condensate, then in the daytime, the glaze lily would act almost like a... There's a sticky... If you stick the petal...
That's right! He applied a diluted form of slime condensate to the petals to stick them together, and enclosed a sample of agouste in this. That way, the agouste... However, the diluted slime condensate wouldn't be viscous
Didn't Tignari...
to prevent the petals of the glaze lily from opening at night. So by nightfall, the flower would bloom, thereby forcing the target to inhale the agouste trapped inside.
Didn't Tignari say something at the start of the story quest to somebody that he has to spray glazed lilies with something and then a film just for... Because they're not like cactus, because he's running low on more or something like that. I forget. Just something to think about.
Execute his revenge without having...
By the next morning, the sample of agouste would have...
Wait a second. You're telling me this version of agouste is so toxic, inhaling the minute amount trapped inside a flower is enough to kill it. And how did Edgar even survive ingesting a whole bottle of this?
That's because agouste is just as dangerous now as it was all those years ago. The level of toxicity has never changed.
You mean people who are sensitive to elemental energy. So it's just some sort of happy coincidence that can't be right. They were involved in the operation all those years ago.
I wouldn't use the word allergic necessarily. It's more like they're susceptible to its effects. But you can think of it this way. It's not that Sylvain and Lucien are innately sensitive to elemental energy, but that Kyria...
The incense I smelled earlier seemed in Sumeru.
Alchemically produced essential oils, the primordial seawater that caused unrest in Fontaine not too long ago. All of those are substances.
That stuff gave us a lot of trouble when we first came to Sumeru. Ah, yes.
In Sumeru, it's not uncommon to use incense indoors, so its presence wouldn't arouse suspicion. The
flowers were pretty important to this plan, huh? The glazed lily is native to Liyue. It would be completely unnatural to have one here in Sumeru if it weren't for the exhibition. What a coincidence.
Actually, it's not a coincidence at all.
No wonder he was willing to pay a small fortune to rent out the hotel. He probably used the mora Yelena left him, don't you think? But in the end...
There's a saying among forensic doctors in Fontaine. But up until this point, we haven't been able to detect any trace of Kyria's activities. That's not because he was coming and going undetected, but because he's been disguised as some...
Creating such an... It all points to... Kyria and the Mora spent... It all points to one person. The Mora spent... It all points to one Kyria and Ed...
But Kyria was only in his teens. Edgar's lived here for so many years.
Bad news, Sheriff! Mr. Edgar was attacked!
What?
A dark shadow-like figure just but before we could even react, the figure up and disappeared. Do you think Kyria could...
I need you to think very carefully about this.
I mean, Mr. Edgar was so frail.
It would seem Master decided to tap into an ill-advised...
What? But that's so dangerous.
But why? Why would he do that?
No. If his aim was to target everyone who...
If he left Sylvain alive yesterday, not out of a desire to see him suffer, but to confirm the truth...
Then... there...
The shadow-like figure ran in the direction of the elevator, and my partner immediately chased after them.
We should hurry before they're forced to confront each other.
Where in the world did it go? Let's ask the merchants nearby.
It's all right. Please, calm down and take a deep breath.
How could... This is terrifying.
If we go any further, we'll be out of Port Ormos. There'll be hardly any witnesses.
It's all right. I can detect a faint whiff of the scent from here. I would... It's this way. Please, follow me.
You know, if I was being chased by Yalan, Arlecchino, that group, you know, the team I have out right now, I'm pretty sure I would be terrified. Emily seems kind of nice. Aether is, well, Aether. And for people who use Lumine, same thing. It wouldn't be the scariest. I mean, it would, because considering that Lumine or Aether, whichever one you use, has taken down dragons and pseudo archons. Talking about Wanderer, or as Simulanka calls him, Hat Guy. And I'm not going to make that climb without that. I still not make it. Let's see. Just enough. You. Boom. There we go. Did I not need to climb all the way up? Oh. I just completely went past it. Gotcha. It's gonna have us use Emily anyways, so might as well just use this squad.
Oh! O's! Are you alright? Were you attacked?
No, I'm alright. I was just chasing after that figure and...
Let me take a look.
The air definitely feels heavy. It smells nice, but for some reason, this feels...
Everything looks all right. It was probably just the stress of the chase, combined with the impact of the environment.
I can't rest. He's a good man.
O's, you need a...
But how is that Mr. Edgar is...
That's precisely why he had to resort to extraordinary measures. Kyria used a delusion to bring back the Auguste flower, corroding his...
No. He couldn't have. Mr. Edgar has been in Port Ormos for years.
And what if the impersonation started before... I've yet to confirm it, but I suspect Kyria killed the real Edgar in Fontaine not long after. While Edgar was incarcerated, Kyria started making preparations to replace him, including forcefully aging his body, studying perfumery, and planning the new Edgar then decided to relocate to Sumeru, seemingly out of an innocuous desire to let go of the past. He even left perfume making in favor of mentoring students. But these decisions were all for a specific purpose: the need to distance himself from, and Sumeru fit the bill to a T, with no one around to question his identity. All he had to do was grow a beard, don a pair of glasses, make a few minor alterations to his appearance, and everyone would believe he was exactly who he claimed. As the years went by, he removed his disguise little by little and continued to refine his skills. It would have been a gradual process, one that ensured no one around him would notice.
That explains why Sylvain said he barely recognized he aged himself decades beyond his years just so he could...
I need to find Mr. Edgar. He's not that...
What you really need is...
No,
Wait! This environment is likely being influenced by the delusion. Any discomfort, no matter how... I know how to relieve your symptoms, Mr. Ooze. Please, I'm sure Kiria... No,
Kale's right. The Traveler and I will take things from here. This leads me to believe those blessed with a vision or capable of wielding elemental power are... Actually, now that I think about it, this stronghold likely has multiple points of entry. If the I hate to trouble you.
Thanks. Hear that?
Traveler, for someone whose only purpose in life is revenge, there's no telling what they'll do when there's...
Don't worry. This isn't the... We're not going to let a goose kill anyone else. It's...
So, for those wondering, I did her trial, and to best explain how she attacks, she has a pole arm, obviously, and her elemental skill there is similar to Lisa's, where she puts down an AoE thing that hits, or like Aether's burst. But burning. It is so nice to have.
I've never seen these seeds before. They must also have been created with the power of a delusion. It seems to be avoiding us, and there's no other way forward. Perhaps we could try luring it to the edge of the cliff.
Chest. Let's go.
Whoa, look at all the Auguste flowers!
Look at all those chickens. Sorry, I had to.
I fear that statement is truer than you know, Paimon. Using a delusion comes at a cost. Not just time, but the time...
But why would Kiria need this? He only needed a few bottles of Auguste to carry out his plan, right?
Perhaps hatred wasn't. Not long ago, he told me he didn't want all the flowers transported to Sumeru to wither away in a foreign land. But Kiria betrayed Snezhnaya, abandoned Fontaine, and lived his entire life in Sumeru under the guise of someone with nowhere to call home. Perhaps dying among a bed of Auguste flowers just like his sister is the best homecoming he could ask for.
Overruled.
I have no idea if this is actually going to do something, but might as well see. It did tell me to bring a pyro, which is... As well as in the story quest, it did say something about how they burn the flower beds. So, I'm just checking. Any flower beds that I missed? Doesn't look like it.
Transfixed. This is where you fall. Overruled.
I know I'm supposed to be using Emily right now, but... why not?
Transfixed.
A plant that destroys seeds. Huh. Quite the ecological marvel. Let's head back to the place where the seeds first appeared.
Does it have like a set destination? Because I've failed that twice now.
The scent of flowers is getting stronger. We're almost at the end.
Oh, I wanted to burn them.
Did they catch up that fast? No. My strength is just waning. But it doesn't matter.
This is a garden of Auguste flowers. But it's not mine. It's the one that was set on fire all those years ago in Fontaine. Yelena? Yelena! You tried to hide it from me, but the reason why you continued to use the delusion, the reason why you set your garden on fire, I shouldn't have listened to you that day. I shouldn't have taken the Mora and ran. But by the time I realized something wasn't right, there was nothing left. I know I'm almost 20 years too late. I should have died with you that day. Yelena? Yelena! No! Don't leave me! Yelena!
Huh.
Emily, I'm alive. No.
That was an illusion, likely brought about by the residual toxin in your body coupled with the pollen in the air.
No. The amount of Auguste I drank, it should have been enough. A fake.
We started making the preparations last night with one goal in mind: to create a perfect accord. The accord is the basis of perfume making,
the product in its most primitive form. Ambergris mixed with cedar wood, rounded out with a base note of agar wood.
This is the scent of leather?
Exactly. We're unable to extract essential oils from leather, but by combining other raw materials, we can recreate its essence. That is the purpose of an accord.
Does that mean you can recreate any scent in the whole world?
I'm afraid not. Certain fragrances in this world are simply one of a kind. That quality is what draws people in and fuels their obsessions.
If I wear a goose to the ball, I'll also be one of a kind. Our competitor already got their hands on it.
It doesn't matter how much it costs. I have to buy something better.
This fragrance will be one of a kind, no more. Myths can be deconstructed, miracles can be recreated. All it takes is skill, experience, limitless exploration, and a little patience. The only thing left is determining where the real Auguste is hidden. Pretending to be attacked means he's not free to move around. Auguste must be hidden within reach.
Paimon took a peek through the window earlier and his house was packed with flowers.
The curator commissioned a flower pot from Kasharawar, capable of retaining heat and moisture.
Perfumes are as beautiful as flowers, and equally as delicate. When stored, you must take care to control the temperature and keep them away from direct sunlight. Did you get all that, Emily?
I got it.
Did you hear? Someone was attacked again last night.
So, Sylvain is dead. Is that right?
Yes, Master.
So, you switched the bottles of Auguste, and then lied to me about Sylvain's death.
Convincing you that your revenge had been completed was the easiest way to get you to let down your guard.
Impossible. Even if you found a way to switch out the bottles, there's no way you could have made an accord. If Auguste was so easy to replicate, Yelena wouldn't have.
It was a combination of rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias. Those ingredients would have conflicted with each other if you tried to combine them in the past. But recently, we found a way for them to work together.
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, and Cecilias.
Auguste was created over 10 years ago. All this time, people never stopped analyzing it. Perfumery techniques are advancing day by day. We found better ways to extract essential oils, separate oils and fats. We even discovered new ways to combine fragrances together. The mythos surrounding Auguste may have been untouchable almost 20 years ago, but now it's time for it to become a thing of
the past.
You've been working as a perfumer for all these years. You should have always known that it is possible to make an accord, even if only in theory. But the meaning you assigned to Auguste became so inflated, you allowed yourself to get lost in it, just like the perfume mania that captivated the public all those years ago. You believed in its divinity and grandeur. You believed it was entirely one of a kind. Your obsession with Auguste is also what allowed us to predict how you intended your plan to end. And
we just didn't expect it to happen so fast.
Well, so Sylvain isn't dead. Since you've been preparing your accord since last night, that means the news of Sylvain's death. The crowd...
Yes. If we hadn't, you might have resorted to the delusion out of desperation, or continued to use your Spirit Borneal and Auguste combination to
Who knows? Maybe I would have just offed myself.
I know if you had things your way, you would carry the truth of Edgar. All the crimes he...
Is that so? Well...
Whoa, he accepted that kind of fast.
I don't feel the need to justify. I did what I said.
Careful, everyone.
Stick close and hurry up.
Looks like I'm almost...
Of course, Master.
The combination you used...
The scent of Auguste is complex and varied, yet the main ingredient consists of a... So, as I was analyzing the sample yesterday, I got to thinking, what if the scent of the Auguste flower was already imbued with that...
You're saying Yelena designed Auguste to have the scent?
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, Cecilias... The perfumers of the past knew that if you combine their essential oils directly, they would just cancel each other out. It was but if you cultivate a new flower species that intrinsically carries the unique features of those three scents, you can bypass that issue entirely. It goes without saying that for that time...
Rainbow roses, glaze lilies, Yelena.
Laid bare.
I should have brought another pyro. Damn, I wanted to burn the field.
Transfixed.
The show begins.
Laid bare.
Yeah. I'm not going to be able to have enough time to do all that. Whatever. I tried. if somebody watching this later on
Right.
brings a
I heard
different
about
pyro
that.
and burns
I
the
think it's called
whole field of
Yelena.
flowers and gets an achievement for it, let me know.
Seems like everyone in Fontaine is talking about the new perfume.
I was hoping to release it without such a fuss, but I just hope it won't become the source of some new myth, especially after all the work we did to demystify a goose. I did, although I made a few modifications to the formula to make the scent more pleasant and long-lasting. I actually brought a few samples with me today. Also, I was hoping you could try out the fragrance before I officially release it and tell me your thoughts.
Of course! A good sense of taste and... Oh, it smells great!
It's alright. All feedback is besides. When it comes to perfume, commenting on whether it smells good is the most straightforward assessment you can ask for. There does...
Right! Do those flowers have some special meaning?
If I had to guess...
A language of flowers? Oh, we've heard of that before!
What each flower is said to represent varies by person and across different moments in history. The same is true for the flowers that make up the scent of a goose. After returning to Fontaine, I did some research, and it turns out the meanings of those 3 flowers... Forget the past. Perhaps that's the legacy Yelena always intended.
You think Kiria knew about that?
I paid him a visit before his trial and explained what I found, but who knows? Maybe she didn't mean anything by it at all. Yelena is gone. We'll never know what she was thinking. We can look for meaning all we want, but even if that is what she was trying to say, avenging her death? Kiria cultivated his revenge like a flower. He was committed to making it bloom. In any case, he did want me to pass along thank you for saving my life, for giving me the chance to learn that a goose, love and hatred are a privilege of the living. When someone dies, their thoughts, but even if it's only a conjecture, the meaning we give to flowers, and yet at the very outset.
Well, damn, that was a loaded story quest. It's a gadget? What does it do? I am now very confused as to... Huh. Weird. Hold up, what are my... 1, 2, 3... There we go. So, what we are going to do now is... Fontaine. We're going to claim my daily commission, and I'm going to check out that event. And I think that's where I'm going to end the stream after that.
Thank you for
I have been working on building up my characters. I did unlock the Dendroculus Resonance thing, so I will be working on completing Sumeru's thing, hopefully before Natlin. I do tend to do this every now and then. And recently I have been converting the smaller ones over to Dendro, since I don't really have many Dendro bosses that I take on. But yeah. So, in terms of the event, we are going to go check this out. I have not seen this at all. It is over by Poisson, or Poisson, however the hell you pronounce it. So, let's head over there. I also forget why I put a marker over here. I think it might have been for to come back here at some point for an event or something. Yes, I know what I did that for. That is something I've been trying to figure out. It's a puzzle of some sort. Again, if I'm skipping through this dialogue, you can go to YouTube later and pause and read it if you would like. So, boom. 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 And we are going to keep going, so. If you're interested in reading it, go ahead. I skipped through it because I'm not the biggest fan of just sitting there reading. Yeah, I can take on level 70s. No issue. I need to work on my artifacts, but... So, what I am going to do is I'm going to put the first group as...
What could the...
Did not mean to back out. Let's do Arlie. She has Earthbound, good artifacts. Let's see mine. Mine would be higher stats, so... no. Do. Why not? Do. You know what? Attack. After a character's elemental skill or elemental burst, his opponent damage increased by elemental skills. Do. Let's try that, and let's try that. You know what? No. For this one, instead of doing that, we're going to do... Why not Kali? We'll try it out. Ooh. You know what? We're not going to do full. Let's just see about doing this.
Transfixed. Witness my rise. Laid bare.
Reconstitute! Fresh and floral!
Here comes the catch.
A little ambiance. Neutralize!
Everlasting as the moon. This is where you fall. Overruled.
Well, that's that one done. I don't know what score I'm supposed to get for the top tier for this, but we'll see.
There is no escape.
Just like we rehearsed.
You're dead meat. Illusion shattered. Inazuma shines eternal. Ha!
Sharing my knowledge. Go! Forward Amber, help!
Gloves off. Buckle up. Hey! Torn to oblivion.
Escape journalism. The Temple of Wisdom. Just like we rehearsed.
There is no escape. You're dead meat. Look alive. Now you shall perish.
Right this on the side. Take yourself some room.
Gloves off.
Come on, get it before the timer ends. There we go.
Let's get it on.
This will brighten up the place. Oh?
Transfixed.
You are not welcome here.
I'm getting sick this game. Reconstitute. A little ambiance. Coming at ya. Coming at ya. Sharing my knowledge. I see everything.
Everlasting as the moon. Overruled.
Fresh and floral. Neutralize.
Go on.
You are not
A little ambiance.
Laid bare.
The Temple of Wisdom. Committed to memory. Coming at ya.
Witness my rise. Overruled.
Silver? What do I need in order to get a 5,000? I need a 5,000 in order to get a 3-star. You know, what was my score? 3,000 something? I don't know. I might just keep it as that. I might just keep it as silver for now. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do 2 pulls on standard. And debate club. What is this? And nothing. Bloodstained Greatsword. Well, for now, this has been a productive stream. I am going to be ending the stream off here. Thank you to anybody who tuned in. Thank you to anybody who's watching this later on YouTube. People from stream, if you want to rewatch it, the link tree has my YouTube. For people on YouTube who want to come watch me live, the link tree, which will be in the profile and all that. Same for Twitch and TikTok whenever I start streaming there too. It will all be in the bios, but the link tree will take you to each and every one. So look forward to that. And I would appreciate if y'all, hopped around and followed, subscribed, all the free stuff to do. That would help me out greatly. So thank you. See you guys next time.